That's
Look
good.
at the look on your face.
Oh yeah,
Constant.
it's,
It's a combination of worry
no,
and
it's,
God. I detest this man.
yeah, no, it's got nothing to do with you. It's just, I've been like this all my life. It's
This is
painful.
what happened yesterday. Apparently, it's because of traffic. But thinking of you and me, I wouldn't use the word unstable. Are we
No,
recording yet?
we are, and we are
Okay.
unstable
Okay. You
on this
press the button.
29th of May. A random Friday it is. We have no guest. We'll be back on Monday with a guest. So I've got a bunch of stuff. Nothing, um, nothing political in the sense that
Okay.
I'm not going to dump on anybody
There's
or talk
and
about
there's enough
stuff.
stuff going around where you
Oh,
and I can find our niche.
yeah,
So
yeah.
there we go.
But did you want to go first?
No, I was just I
Oh,
wanted you to
okay.
know
Yes.
that I've been checking into this, and you know how many people are doing podcasts?
Many are. Many people every day are signing on, and many more people every day are listening to um, little collections of ideas like the ones you and I put together every day. And I'm
Well, that's
pleased.
encouraging.
I'm pleased that, for example, the David O'Keefe interview has proven to be popular amongst either his folks or people who are just discovering him. I got a lot of good feedback about our chat with Andrew Cadell yesterday, and
Oh, good.
he sent me an email and thanked me again. So I was pleased, I'm sure as you were, to see him well out in that beautiful region
Well,
of
we're getting that
Kamouraska.
too. We're getting beautiful panoramas. And
Yeah,
what a lovely part of Quebec. I looked it up.
beautiful.
That's where that famous garden is. It's on the south shore of
On the
the
St. Lawrence.
St. Lawrence,
Yep.
a little downriver from Quebec City. And it is where the St. Lawrence really widens. And it's quite
Beautiful there.
something. It's
Absolutely
gorgeous.
beautiful spot. Okay. Well, let me just jump into what I have here and you can kibitz
Okay.
and give me your. Discovered this morning that a new series is on Netflix. It's called Space Force. It is
That's Steve
co-written
Carell.
co-written by and co-produced by Steve Carell. I just finished watching the first episode. Highly recommended. It is an absolute blast. Carell has been in some dodgy stuff comedy-wise over the years, but he, I guess, is in his own element here because he's doing his own writing, and some of the bits are just outstanding. And he went out and recruited, I won't give them all away, but they tend to be Second City people, people who do improv, Jane Lynch, Ben Schwartz, Lisa Kudrow,
Oh,
Don
Jane
Lake,
Lynch is in all those Christopher Guest movies too.
Don
She's
Lake
great.
as well. Don Lake, Canadian actor, whom you'll recognize, plays his assistant in this because Carell is thrust into the position of the director of the Space Force. And this is based on Donald Trump's idea of launching a Space Force. And they start making fun of Trump 3 minutes and 10 seconds into the first episode about tweets and about this, that, and the other thing. And it's very tongue-in-cheek, but it's beautifully done, beautifully cut. The CGI is flawless. I won't give anything away.
What's it called again?
It's called Space Force. It is a Netflix
On Netflix.
series. Yes, and it is all, I guess all 10, 12 episodes or whatever are already online. And I just
Well, you
watched.
mentioned Jane Lynch, the magnificent on Amazon Prime, Mrs. Maisel or whatever it is. I forget. I watched
Yep,
them all.
yep.
She is in that as well. She's tremendous in that.
But
There she is. Oh,
there were people who you'll
oh
recognize.
God, yeah.
And this guy who was on, his name escapes me now, who was on Veep. Anyway, they're all improv, excellent performers. And I'll see, and there's Don Lake here coming up just a second.
Well, one of the guys you showed earlier is in those
There's Don
wonderful
Lake.
rent-a-car ads.
Yeah, there's Don.
Oh,
You'll
yes,
recognize
there's
him.
Don Lake.
Yep.
I recognize him.
He's just brilliant. And they're all deadpan funny. And there's also, there's a man who plays Steve Carell's father who shows up here. I won't tell you who that is because what's fun about this series is discovering and waiting to see who the next person is who's going to show up on screen. And they tend to unveil them as they do with Malkovich here on the couch. Unless you know who's in the show, you never know who's going to pop up in the next scene. And there's Malkovich, who's just playing it, of course, only like Malkovich can. And it is just howlingly funny. So I'm looking forward to the next few episodes. It's called Space Force. with Steve Carell and company. And I won't give away whom the other performers are. You'll have to discover that. And that's part of the fun from what I was just in tears over the person who plays Carell's father. He has a conversation with, of course, it's not shot in real time, but Carell, again, has been able to write his way into what he does best, and it's just howlingly funny. But you'll have to discover that on your own. Space Force. Okay, let's talk about
one of the officers earlier there is the laconic sourpuss in the Rent-A-Car ad.
Yes, and
if you don't want to talk to people, you don't have to, and I don't want it. He's great.
On the line in the opening scene, he says, "Is it true they can't hear you scream?" So it's just a complete. It's a farce.
To this.
Oh, you got to watch this. It's really a lot of fun. And Carell, he does well with the slow burn, but he gives in to some rather interesting little antics in some spots in it. And the dialogue flies by fairly quickly. So give yourself a chance to listen carefully as it goes by. But it's beautifully produced, so I recommend it. Let's talk about.
You mentioned that Carell has been in some dodgy stuff, but he's no Anthony Samberg. I mean, he's done some really, really.
Oh no, he's a terrific
and dramatic
actor.
stuff too. Remember dramatic stuff too.
Oh yes, no, I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to the Get Smart remake was not very good, and I think he was penned in by a rather bad script. And you and I know how the studio system works and everything else. But and that's essentially why I'm referring to this specifically, because he is co-writing the series. He essentially wrote it for himself. So this is why it makes a difference, because he plays to his strengths. And this is the Steve Carell that I like to watch. So, okay.
I often think remakes like Get Smart, and remember they did the Flintstones.
Yes.
God. Yeah. Talk about a bad idea that's a bad idea. I mean, Get Smart was what it was. It was stupid, but don't make it into a movie 30 years later. You're headed for trouble, aren't you?
So and Ben Schwartz, another bright young actor, is in there too. And these people are capable of just they can sort of jump out of the script a little bit. And this is based on what I was reading, I think Greg Daniels is the co-writer.
Do you think some of it's off the cuff?
Yeah, and Greg Daniels, who co-wrote it with him, refers to that too, at least with reference to one of the actors who shows up in this one that I won't give away, because it's a bittersweet surprise when you'll see it.
God, there are pictures of him there in that dark office that look as if they're right out of Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, there is that element. It's beautifully the set decoration is beautifully done. So anyway, this is only based on the one episode, but I ate it up this morning. So Space Force.
I gather there are going to be more.
Let's see how many we got in here. I think we've got 10 episodes, 10 or 12, I think.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, that's very 10. Encouraging.
Yeah, there were 10 half hours. Yeah.
Oh, half hours. Good.
Yes.
Well, that's a good length for something like this. Yeah. I watched your Tennessee fella last night.
Oh, yes.
My wife and I.
Yeah.
Had a wonderful time.
He's terrific, isn't he?
Some of them, it takes a while.
Yeah.
But you go with him. He's a brave performer. I can't remember his name. It's a strange lad. His daughter introduces him.
Nate Bargatze, I think.
He's wonderful.
Yeah. I don't know which version.
At some points you want to fall down. Other times you think, okay, I'm just going to go with this. And this is pleasant. He's very good.
Did he? Was it the one you saw where he was telling the story about putting the party hat on the dog's head?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And that's a beautiful little piece, and it's deadpan. Nate Bargatze I think is his name.
He talks about trying to save the planet, and it's just, whether you're, this is like one of those debates about religion, right? You're going to get people upset. He gets everybody laughing about.
Okay.
About global warming.
Let's move on to something else here. Food. I've discovered a place called Le Caveau. They're in Saint Agathe, and I haven't been there, but they sell via loofah. They sell a spelt-based pizza dough that is outstanding. Now, I will explain what spelt is. Spelt is a grain. It is a wheat. It is a type of wheat like durum, but it has a bit more sugar in it. And it makes an outstanding pizza dough that makes for great browning. And Le Caveau
Oh,
in Saint Agathe sells these boules frozen pizza dough via loofah, and it is just beautiful. Now it's made with durum and spelt flours, and it makes for an outstanding pizza. So
have you
this
tried
is
it?
this is our standard here now, and I'm going to start
Okay,
making my
because
own.
I've heard of their baguette. I get through Lufa some stuff of baguette from, I think it's
Yeah,
Le Kevel.
yeah. But I'm going to start making my own pizza dough based more or less on their formulation, even though I don't know what the exact proportions are. But if you want something quick, and you're a loofah shopper, I highly suggest you order. And it's $4 or $5, I think, for two frozen
I'll give it a try.
boules, and it's terrific. It's not bitterish like whole wheat, but it has the spelt gives it a beautiful browning and crunchiness that it's like I've never
Nice
had
and
before.
thin too. I don't like thick crust
Yeah.
pizzas.
So
It's got a
that's
nice.
again Le Caveau, and if you look for this label, you'll see I think they sell via other retailers, but it's not very clearly indicated on their website. And they're based in, of course,
Nice looking shop too.
if you're in Saint Agathe, you've probably heard of the place. I've never been there before, but it looks quite wonderful. So. What else I picked up on? This is an interesting little piece. Americans are receiving, I saw this in Business Insider, Americans are receiving, of course, financial assistance as well, but Washington is distributing some of it in the form of debit cards that say Visa debit on them with your name, Dave Bronstetter, at the bottom. Unfortunately, Americans are throwing these away because they think it's a scam. So they're getting them in the mail, yeah, and they're chopping them up. So a good portion of the financial relief that Americans are receiving via these cards is ending up in the garbage. So it's a kind of a sad little.
Well, are they not getting
moment.
information beforehand telling them this is on the way that you could believe in? No,
It appears to be quite messed up. And the more I read into or about what's going on there too, the more I realize that things here, at least at the federal level, have been carried out quite efficiently because there have been no data breaches and no problems, and people are getting the assistance
because this is a great idea,
they need.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Better than a check.
Yeah. So anyway, again, without getting into this too deeply, many millions of Americans do not have a bank account, unlike Canadians who are pretty well accustomed to having a bank account, no matter what age you are or what your background is or what your financial situation is. There are millions of Americans who do not possess a bank account. So that's why they receive these things.
I think it presents itself as a national psyche too. Without getting too stereotypical, Americans don't trust institutions, and I wouldn't trust a lot of American banks.
So anyway,
it's just been our history to,
one of these little stories that kind of fell through the cracks. So people are having to scramble either through their trash or having to reapply for these things because they threw the damn thing out. I got this in the mail, not in the mail. Yeah, in the mail yesterday. And I'd never heard of this before. This is a company that comes by and cleans your trash bins. A truck shows up at your house and it hauls the trash bin, as you can see here, into this orifice in this truck and sprays it with water and soap and then redeposits the bin in front of your driveway. And there's a local guy here. This is a franchise. It's called Baclavé. Not to be not confused with baklava, of course. We're talking Baclavé.
Now, are we just talking about trash bins? Are we talking about the blue boxes, the
everything,
brown boxes?
Everything, all the bins, the blue, brown, green, and 39. It sounds like quite the racket. $39 for 3 bins, and
$39 each trip.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
apparently,
well, there's some people in my neighborhood who could have their baklavas cleaned. Holy mackerel!
Well, this is what's going on here now, and I found this piece. This one made me laugh in the Houston Chronicle. Of course, there are all kinds. I had never heard of this before. There are all kinds of these entrepreneurs all over the place, and you read the headline here: his trash cans are so clean, dogs won't even dump them. I don't know what that means. But
dump on them?
I don't know. But what I found funny is that the reporter here posted 9 photographs of this guy named Randall, who's out there cleaning. And of course, there's a shot of Randall near his truck. There's another shot of Randall standing proudly in front of his truck. There's a second shot of Randall, again looking proud in front of his truck. And then there's a
God, we're
third shot.
resourceful, aren't we?
There's another third shot of Randall standing in his truck. And then there are other shots of Randall, various 9 shots showing Randall cleaning the various bins.
We're ingenious and resourceful.
Yes, yeah, as a species. So I found this, for some reason, I find this fascinating. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, you would.
There's the garden. This is shot number 3.
Oh,
you see how
beautiful.
much it has bloomed since we last showed you this. And there's the fountain.
Is that an old butter churn or something?
That's an old tub that Madame finds. Of course, you'll see that the bunny. This came from Walmart. This bunny here weighs about 150 pounds. Can you? And it changes.
They're solid, right?
Oh yeah, and it changes, and it's never in the same place 2 seasons at once. So I'm there going, where is it? Oh God, you want it over here? But I'm very, very pleased, and she's very
good. It looks lovely.
She's
it
very
looks
good.
Gorgeous.
And here's
my wife does that too. I want this here this year.
Yeah, this is what I've been doing, and she likes to buy bric-a-brac like this. This is a stylized bird made out of an old bleach bottle. I think there were people who do this as a hobby. And then I guess the person, that was a man, took a heat gun and sort of cut this stuff up and then bent it into a shape of a bird, painted it, and sold it to my spouse for $65 or something. I don't know.
It's beautiful. There's the pergola.
There's the pergola, is all stained. And here's you got
a lot of branches wrapped around.
Things. Yeah, there's my my herb garden that I built with scrap lumber and other pieces. And in the middle here, these are 2 poles from old closet poles that I had lying around, and I put some straps in the middle to kind of hinge them.
You're resourceful and ingenious too.
I can sit there and use we have so much crap lying around.
There's your left arm over there.
That's it.
Bit of an accident.
And here it is in its open state.
Wow.
With the
so
pole.
You can get in weed and things.
I've got a pole to hold it up, and the other side opens the same way. So I'm quite proud of course, this is version number 3 of the original design. But
so did the guy down the street miss this, or did it take him a few days to realize it had been stolen from his backyard?
Oh, I see. No. This is all the chicken wire we had and the other bits and pieces we had. I mean, I have so much stuff, leftover IKEA brackets is what I used to.
I shouldn't be disrespectful. Together. That's a fine piece of work, lad.
And of course, my spouse, and she came up to me yesterday. She, I have to tell you, it's working. It's pretty good. So she has to tell me. This is the kind of backhanded, smart ass.
So what's in here? Right? Veggies. That looks like chives.
Yes, I'm not quite sure. There are chives. I think she has mint in there somewhere, basil and other things.
Must smell fantastic, eh?
Yes, of course. Trying to keep we're keeping the cats and the various other, because we have a lot of cat traffic here. So this is what I've been.
You get raccoons out your way?
We had skunks under the shed late winter. So,
wow,
isn't that fascinating?
Very. It is. Well, it's lovely. What a garden! He's as proud as look at him.
I am. I have nothing else to do. No. And tomorrow's Saturday, so I've got my chore list right here.
Well, fortunately, it's going to be a lot warmer. Or cooler, I beg your pardon. Can I share screen now, or do you have to get out?
No, you're good. Let me just make sure I've got you set here.
Here we go.
Yeah, you're good.
All righty. So it's already, well, wait a minute. I haven't updated this because this is from 9 o'clock. Let's see how much warmer it is, shall we? It is. It's now up to 27 degrees. Do you still fall back in Fahrenheit, or are you not old?
No, not with temperatures. No, I can't do distance. I can't do metric centimeters and meters, but the temperatures, I guess having worked in radio for so long, it kind of stuck to my brain.
Well, the Humidex is already 34. We set a record on Wednesday, blew it out the back door. As a matter of fact, not just for May, but all time. We have beaten temperatures that were set in July.
And they're talking about snow in Abitibi.
Well, apparently it's going to be about 3 degrees where you are in a couple of nights.
Ridiculous.
So we're expecting, I think, a high of about 30 today. Yeah. And we could use, I was looking at your garden too, we could use some rain. So there you are, brought to you by Environment Canada. You always
Yep.
like to see me start with the weather.
Yep. That's your
This
home
is
page.
what happens in, I'm sorry?
That's your home page. Oh my, better than this being your home page.
This is called swamp butt.
Okay.
This is what happens when people get perspire. We don't just perspire there. So I thought,
Okay,
if you're going into wait in line to pick up your M&Ms, you might want to look.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Else.
What brought you to this particular photograph is what I'm intrigued by now.
I thought you'd like it.
Would you walking around thinking about swamp butt, or did you just did you
Well,
Google swamp butt? That's a disturbing thought.
I guess I was.
Okay.
So do you want me to move on?
Please.
All right. This is 103-year-old, what's her name? Jenny Steimer. Mm-hmm. She lives in Massachusetts. She is in an elder home.
Yes.
And she got COVID-19 and she survived. And the first thing she wanted was a Bud Light.
A Bud Light in an aluminum bottle. Outstanding.
In an aluminum bottle. Excellent. And there's another picture of outside. She's going after another one. I think she downed the whole 6-pack.
Good for her.
During the course of the So
Good
there you are. Congratulations, Jenny. Good on you. There's your
my
New York
checkered
City taxi.
Cab. Yes.
Isn't that a beauty?
I was thinking of that after we spoke yesterday. It is a beauty. Yep.
Look at that.
They don't make them anymore.
This is from several years ago. Look at this. The drop rate is $1.
Yep. Yeah, they stopped making them, I think, about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, they made something called the Marathon, which was for personal use. And if you remember, they had these stool-like things, like you had the big back seat where you could put 25 people, but they had these 2 stools that you could pull out and sit on. I don't know if you remember that, but there was enough room in there for a couple of bar stools, actually. Mm-hmm. Huge, huge vehicles. And there they are coming off the line for many, many years. There's a classic. That is a checker as well.
Oh.
That's from the very early 50s.
Okay. I don't remember seeing that front end before.
No, beauty. And there's an even older one. That's from 1949. I mean, a lot of them look like, old Hudsons and things like that. But this is what Checker did best. Built in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
All right.
Okay. It was their hometown for many, many years. It was the main industry in the town. I mean, it supported a lot of lives. These, of course, are the later versions.
Right.
Okay. They used Crown Victorias for years and years.
Crown Vics, built in Oakville, Ontario, up until a few years ago.
Pretty much most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a Mercury version, and I can't remember the name. They stopped making those. Mercury, I can't remember. Anyway, the Crown Victoria was the main part of the fleet, and these guys took over from them, and now Tesla is getting involved.
Oh, wow.
There is And I'm sorry, I only have one picture of the garden, but I thought I'd share it with you because it's just how lovely the lilac is right now. And the aroma outside is gorgeous.
Absolutely gorgeous. You'll be seated out there this afternoon.
I took that yesterday. It looked as if I was hoping for it. It really looked as if it was going to rain, but it did not. And then you mentioned this being the 60th anniversary of the famous soup can. Did Warhol get in any trouble, copyright troubles with that? I guess
not. That's an interesting question. I didn't read up on this. I don't believe so.
I'm sure Campbell's would have been thrilled.
I remember, yes, and I remember my brain is just jogging to the story of Paul Simon. You know the song Kodachrome?
Yep. Kodak.
Eastman Kodak ran up to him and was going to sue him when he published the song, and they said, and somebody in the office said, No, don't do that. No, it's like a 4-minute ad that runs on every damn radio station in North America.
Advertising.
16 million times a day.
He did whole shelves of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So they said, never mind.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Get the message across. And there he is himself.
There he is.
After having his hair done, a native
Andy
of beautiful Pittsburgh. Sorry?
Warhola was the family name, as I recall. Yep.
And lived with his mother for most of his life. There's the famous funicular going down to the river. Of course, the Pittsburgh, why it's called Three Rivers, of course, it's the Ohio, the Allegheny, and the Monongahela. But there's the beautiful people who have visited that part of Pittsburgh say it's one of the most beautiful city centers they've been in. And Pittsburgh
I've
used to
never
be
been,
known.
but it looks a little bit like Montreal with the kind of a Mount Royalish little hill behind there.
Yeah, yeah. It's in the Allegheny Mountains around it. And Pittsburgh, of course, in the 50s, when I was a kid, late 50s, they would show Pittsburgh Steelers games, and you could barely see them at Forbes Field because of the smoke from the factories. That has changed now. It is a high-tech city. And this is what Donald Trump said not too long ago.
There
Can
you go.
See it?
Right.
Yeah. And this, of course, around the same time as Warhol is the Roy Lichtenstein.
Mm-hmm.
Pop culture, wonderful culture. And this is Lichtenstein.
I see. Okay, so there's a direct line there from Roy Lichtenstein.
Well, you say I tend to stray a bit.
Yeah,
so.
I like that. It's very short and direct.
And there we are. Lichtenstein, of course, begins with an L. This is Lebanon, New Hampshire.
Okay, all right. Well, there we're back.
Would you like to see a close-up of the clock?
No, we're good. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're back to the regular stream of consciousness there. Yeah. Interesting.
You try to keep moving me along a bit.
No. I'm just thinking because my brain goes elsewhere. I was reading the New York Times this morning, and the speaking of Liechtenstein, the 60s, the big bold patterns and colors of the 60s are coming back in women's dresses, and
a lot of limes and oranges, and remember plastic chairs that were in orange, and
Okay, so that'll be you and me in lime-colored pants, sitting in the backyard.
Sorry, with cuffs at the bottom. Well, that was more like the 70s, but cuffs like that.
Made out of polyester. I remember
By golly, you can't burn it. It's still there in the Miron Quarry.
Yeah, my paternal grandfather had one suit. It was a brown poly, and there was a crease in there that a truck couldn't take out of the pants. So it was just razor thin. God, Leo.
And you always knew where his car keys were, right?
Yeah. Poor Leo. Anyway, all right. Well,
God, it's hot.
Have a good weekend. Get outside and get some breeze. It's about 26 here, I think now. Yeah, that's not so bad.
27 right now. The humidex is 34.
Okay.
I just mentioned that to you.
You like that? Why don't you do a time check for us before we?
Let's go to traffic.
Okay. Monday, Duke Eatman is going to be with us.
Yeah, Duke, good. We'll talk music. I will just listen because you guys are.
Well, he knows everything about everything, but I believe he's quite fond of the period that I know best because I was a top 40 DJ back in the day. So that goes back to 60s, 70s, 80s. So it'll be really, and he's an energetic, a very, very colorful fella.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Well, if you go to the 60s into the maybe mid 70s, I might be with you. But
so we'll see. And he's looking forward to it, and we're very pleased that he'll be able to join us on Monday. And we have other folks coming down the line too. So anyway, have a good weekend.
Enjoy. Be well.
Stay cool. Be well.